Walk in, you're like, yes, black folks. Your number. Will you tell her that? For real, though. I got caught cheating. You did. You never cheated. And out loud, we keep it 100.
Welcome to Out Loud with your girl, Claudia. Thank you so much for everyone being with us tonight. Tonight's a good show. It's something I think we need to talk about, but it doesn't get talked about enough. All right. Now, a blended family forms when two partners build a relationship together with the children from one or both sides, both of their previous relationships. The process of forming a new blended family can be both a rewarding and challenging experience. Tonight, we're chatting with two blended families and a master step family coach about some of the challenges that blended families often face, how to overcome those obstacles, and so much more. And who knew there was a coach for this, right? Please welcome Chelsea and Bedford Dort, Chrissy and David Rodriguez, and the founder of the largest blended family community for millennials, Blended and Black, Naja Hall. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Thank you, Claudia.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
So before we get into it, I have a lot of questions. Especially, first of all, I want to know how you become a coach, how to get that job. It sounds like kind of a lot of fun. And I want to know, first, how are y'all all doing with Armageddon that's happening outside all of 2020? How's everybody doing? Are y'all okay? I mean,
maintaining.
Are y'all just going crazy? Maintaining, okay, maintaining. That's
hanging in there.
Yeah, we're day at a time. Some good days, some great days. Some days we forgot.
Yeah, we're surviving. We're making the best of what we've got, and I feel like, we have good days, we have hard days, but we're figuring it out.
I think it's been. I was saying, I think it's advantageous for me because as a coach, people are home all day and they're learning a lot of things about each other and some things they don't like. So I'm literally busy all day. So it's been kind of okay for business anyway.
There are certain businesses that are definitely getting a lot of business because we talk on a few of my other shows. People are realizing now you can't escape from your partner and your problems right now. You can't go anywhere, right? You got to deal with that person that you said I do to, or I do, or whatever. Do right?
Yeah.
And you can see, I think this has it's helped some people, and it's also showed some cracks, right?
Yes. It's definitely exposing some of the opportunity areas. I don't like to call them problems, but opportunity areas from clients, because people can't avoid their partner by doing the 9 to 5 anymore. And the kids are at home. So, one people are splitting responsibility before. Now, none of that. Like now everybody's kind of showing their true colors. So it's kind of a free for all for a lot of people.
I feel the most sorry for the people that got badass kids. And they're in my own. One of my friends had a badass kid. I don't want to say the friend, but she knows who she is. That kid was terrible. And she got to just be with that
all day.
That person all day now and see what we see.
You mean they just have a lot of energy? That's what we call it. That's energy.
I'm like, hey, child, would you like a Benadryl popsicle? Anyways.
Now they see what those teachers go through all day, though. Now these parents are seeing. The teacher was lying about your child.
Right.
I know for us, we were like, yo, we are not qualified to teach. Like, and our kids, they got
my
scores
fourth graders'
that
math is too much. I'm like, I don't know. This isn't how I did it.
It ain't fair for them to change.
It's definitely different.
It needs to be done the same way as it was when we went through school. You don't got to change it every 8 years.
That is true. Parents are struggling with that part of it, and we think we're so smart. But why a fourth? We're not smarter than a fifth grader. Is that what's going on here?
Not at all.
How's everybody balancing working from home and parenting during this crisis? Because it is quite a balance, right? Like because now you're all in the same house, but that doesn't mean the work has to stop. So let's whoever wants to go first about.
It's hard. I mean, we've got she's not a newborn anymore, I guess, but a 7-month-old and then a couple of other younger ones, and we both work from home. So, I mean, it's work 20 minutes and then stop for 2 hours and then try to do something for 10 minutes while we're making lunch. I mean, it's pretty impossible. We definitely try to tag team. David will go, up to the third floor, his office, and work for an hour or abandon me to go to a meeting and leave me home with all 3 kids. So he says he's going to work. I don't know.
In my shorts and golf shirt, but I ain't going to work. That's
that is important. It's called networking. It's called networking.
Yeah, network's important. That's really important.
The club's negligible.
She sees the dollars coming in, so she knows I'm doing something.
I guess.
Proof in the wallet.
There you go. Not many of them, but they're in there.
So how are you two working on, balancing parenting, working from home during this crisis?
I think, like, if we're going to keep it 100 with you guys, like, at first, we weren't good. We weren't good at it, right? And so parenting suffered, work suffered, and we've been having to learn how to do exactly what Christina and David were talking about, right? Put in work when you have to put in work, and then be able to address your family needs when you have to do that, and then be able to block off time and say, hey, look, I'm inaccessible for this amount of time, but then be extremely accessible at all other times. So it's been unique. Like, we've had to grow, and it's been, we've taken a couple bumps. We'll be real with that, but we're good. I have a job. So, thumbs up for that. We've been.
Hallelujah. Yeah, sorry.
Yes, that's a blessing.
I appreciate you saying that you've experienced some bumps along the way, because I don't think it's all about, if we've learned anything from this COVID and all that's happening right now, it ain't about presenting a perfect image. It's about dealing what really is there, right? And I mean, it's not gonna go away if we're just all Stepford wives and husbands and just like, no, everything's fine, we're lovely. And then you can't say you're like, wait, will this person get a cough and die? You really gotta face it, right?
It's one of those things too, where I think that you have to realize that you're not only dealing with like the work situation, but there's a lot of emotional issues that have come along too. Like, we've all been removed from our routine. Not only have we been removed from our routine, but our children have been removed from their routine. And that has caused like stress and anxiety. And so not only are you dealing with the differences in schedule, but it's also coming with those emotional issues. So it's been important for us to also sit down and say, what can I do for you and how can I help you? And then this is what I need, or this is how I feel like I can function the best. That's been really important in our home, so that we're also both having our needs met on like an emotional basis. Like, I need time to get to the gym or whatever that may be. Just having those conversations about structure and what we need from each other and how we can help each other has been really important for us.
For sure.
Naja, what do you think about this?
So my situation was kind of unique because I've always worked from home, and my husband, we also have the privilege of both being able to have very flexible schedules and working from home. The thing that threw us for a loop is we had the kids, because I'm a long distance step parent. So we had the kids for the weekend in their city, and pandemic started. And so for 2 months, it was all of us in the house. And, me not doing homework, not knowing anything about trigonometry, all of a sudden that became a daily routine. So it was like a big refresher course, like a trial by fire for me, because normally we would get them for 3 months in the summertime, 2 months in the summertime, never during the school year. But the thing that my husband and I did is we've been doing what we normally do. Since we both work from home, I talk really loud and he prefers it quiet. He's a Virgo, like we were talking about, a lot of Virgos on this line tonight. So we're very structured and I'm not. So give each other space. We have cutoff time. We have very firm boundaries with bringing work into our personal time. And we're both very hard workers, but at a certain point, it started to be a detriment to just connecting in the relationship. And so we really had to be focused on doing that. So that's what I was just telling anybody to do. Like, you gotta have a cutoff time. Because now work is home and home is work. It kind of just is like
laptop and go home.
Together. Yeah.
There's no boundaries anymore, right?
Yeah. So you gotta like
feel bad about that. People shouldn't feel bad about that. Because before, if you're mad at your mate and you're like, all right, man, I'll worry about this later. You go to work 8 hours later, you're probably over by the time you get home. Plus, you're around your friends at work, you can laugh, joke, and then it's over by then, right?
Have other people.
We have to face our issues now. And on top of all of that, outside of COVID-19, our nation is also facing another crisis, which is, racism, police brutality. I mean, it's not a new thing, okay? It's been happening, but now everybody else cares all of a sudden. That's what I'll say about that. What are your thoughts about the senseless killings of unarmed Black men and women in America, and how has that been affecting you all?
I mean, for us,
one thing that, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, for us, it's been a lot of conversations with the kids. I mean, we've got the older that's at home is 11 and then a 6-year-old. So we try to be really conscientious of what they're seeing and hearing, and kind of putting it at a level that they can understand. David and I have a lot of conversations all the time about it, amongst ourselves, which can cause a lot of stress, and anxiety, especially for me personally, just you kind of carry it with you. So David's my safe place that I can vent and tell him, listen to what crazy Aunt Sally said on Facebook. And we then turn around and talk to the kids. And I think that for us, it's really important to talk to the kids and make sure that they understand, that they don't have questions, that they're not scared about the world that we're living in. I mean, it's a scary place, but we don't want them to carry that fear, that burden with them. It's been hard. I mean, it's been stressful for sure. And we're kind of stacking all these stressful things on top of one another, which makes it really, really hard.
Yeah, and it's been really educational for me because I didn't grow up with the and she tells me stories, and I can't believe that we're humans that do this to other humans, and so it's been alarming for me, and my positioning has been a lot stronger to be super supportive. And I don't understand all that she went through, but I feel for her, and it hurts me. It makes me sad. My life is one I love is having go through all this stuff, and her family and her extended family, they've gone through this, and it's just not. It's not cool. It's not what I want to be part of.
I like that you said that, because you don't have to be affected personally by it to feel. If you care about someone that's African American in America and you're not, I mean, it's not to say you don't know what it feels like, but to acknowledge wow, I didn't know it was like that, and now I do. That's all we want, really. Seriously.
Right.
Because for many, many years, we were made to feel crazy. You're pulling the race card. Everything ain't against you. It ain't. Everyone's not racist. And now they're seeing lots of subtle things and in your face things. Because my mom's white, my dad's black, and I would grow up and I would come home from school after getting in fights, and I would tell my mother, "Mom, this is what's happened." She's like, you just have a smart mouth." I'm like, "Yes, I do, but that's not what this is about." So I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about this as well.
I know for us, man, we've had a lot of tough conversations with a lot of tough, and it's two parts, right? Because COVID has made it, I think, that we got nothing else to focus on, right? Everything shut down, and luckily that means that we're having a lot more conversations than we normally have. Because you're right. This is not new, This is not a new pandemic. This is not a new fad. This is a thing that's been going on for years and years and years, right? And COVID shut everything down, and all of a sudden there's a hyper focus on what's going on. So part of me is man, it's been cool to see how many people are behind me in certain ways. And then the other part of me is wow, I didn't realize certain individuals in some of our circles have felt the way that they've been feeling, And so it's been unique to navigate through that and be wow, okay.
You're evaluating relationships right now and looking at people that are in your circle or people that and you're evaluating those relationships and maybe some things that people say and it's hard. I'm in the same boat where this isn't how I grew up. I lived a very different life. And what I know as reality is based off of my experiences, and it's nothing like his. And now, since we've been together, my eyes have been very opened, and still not to the extent that his are, and they never will be. So, but yeah, we have a lot of conversations in our home. I do think that there are age appropriate conversations to have. And so we spend time splitting up. We have a 9-year-old who's white, and then our other children are mixed. So we have conversations with our 9-year-old that look very different than our conversations with our 5-year-old or 3 and so forth. So,
Naja, any thoughts on this? It's not new to us.
Absolutely. I am a Black woman married to a Black man with a Black father, with a Black family. We don't have many mixes on this side of the family. And so one thing I can say is it's triggering every time I see an image of somebody being shot in the back or their home being invaded or them being locked up unnecessarily or using excessive force against them, it's extremely triggering. And so I do try to stay away from images like that, just because I can't have that in my mind. You know, they say to be Black in America is to be almost existing in a constant state of controlled rage. And for a lot of us, you know, like the other panelists said, they're kind of just now seeing what it's like a tip of what it's like being in our experience. And they do have the privilege of being with people that are Black. And now, you know, they're starting to see it indirectly. Like I say, one thing is triggering. I avoid social media. I don't look at the images. I don't watch the videos. Not that I don't support and care and love what's happening. But just for me and my own psyche, like I've seen people right now go into depression, and we're already dealing with COVID. We already got the kids at home. People are losing their jobs. The economy is suffering. So just images like that are not good to have etched in our minds. And I don't think it's entertainment. I don't think it's fodder. I wish stuff like that wasn't even allowed on the internet, but I think it's good that people of other cultures can see what we've been complaining about for 400 plus years. Yeah. That's how I.
Good points, you know, and it leads to it could be some difficult conversations. I'm sure you all, I mean, you're in mixed interracial relationships. So there's probably some people you found along the way that you're like, whoa, cousin, or mother-in-law, or father-in-law, or whatever, didn't know you felt that way. Like I've literally lost some of my friends during the whole Trump administration, where I cannot believe some of the things that they're okay with him saying. I'm like, if you care about the people in your life that he's speaking against, then I just don't see how you can still support the bullshit, basically. So thank you for sharing that with us. I think we need to have more of these conversations, because if you're only talking to like-minded people and people that look like you, you're not progressing. We have to know how each other feels. You know what I mean? Like both sides. We really do. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more Out Loud right here in Fox Soul.
Bring it. Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner. My mom's gonna kill me. Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home. Okay. Bye, guys. You guys need a ride?
Sure. Yeah. All right. How about some one-on-one? I gotta go eat, man. Sorry, I'll see you later.
Welcome back to Out Loud right here on Fox Soul with your girl, Claudia Jordan. Now, if you want to see more Fox Soul content, go to www.foxsoul.tv or download the Fox Soul app, or you can watch us on all these platforms because we are blowing up, okay? We are on Fox Now, Fire TV, Roku, YouTube, Apple TV, Zumu, Tubi, or Caffeine.tv. Okay, I'm talking with couples Chelsea and Bedford Dort, Chrissy and David Rodriguez, and blended family expert Naja Hall, and we're having important conversations right here about, you know, the current state of the country and the conversations we have to move forward and learn more from each other's experiences. Okay, so let me get back into the conversation now. When it comes to dating, men and women would normally have second thoughts about, you know, being involved with someone who has kids from a previous relationship. But nowadays, it's pretty normalized. Why did it take so long to get to this place where it's like, oh, it's normal? Because before, back in the day, it's like, oh, he got kids or she got kids, she's damaged goods, or no, I can't do it. And now people are just finally getting more open-minded. What do y'all think?
I think for us, well, for me, it was a non-factor. I mean, I had kids before. I mean, I kind of knew the drill. And, you know, so when Christine and I started dating, I knew that should this thing progress, we would end up having her children with us some or a lot of the time. And, you know, that was just part of it. So I got her and I got 2 bonus presents with it. The new one that we created since then was a surprise for us because we both didn't want any more, and we decided we're good. Let's see what we can create, and we got an amazing little girl out of it. And
you got the surprise baby, huh? The surprise baby.
It was
she's not quite a surprise. We just weren't planning on going that route.
Yeah, no, we went there very. But I'm surprised that we wanted one because we didn't when we started dating.
I mean, and for me, it was different, and I'm surprised. I was surprised personally to hear David be okay with it. David's got older kids. His kids are very, very much older than the three now that we have at home. So, I was like, this guy's nuts. He's like about to go from being an empty nester essentially to having very, very, I mean, Cameron, the youngest, was like 3. So like a baby, he was starting all the way over. So I definitely thought he was nuts. I think there's like a stigma associated even still with dating someone with kids for whatever reason. I think that a lot of times people want to be the only one. They don't want to have to think about a person's past or life before them. They don't want the messiness that they feel might come along with a blended family. I mean, I know even though David's kids were older, I was kind of like, ugh, I don't know if I want drama. Like, he's great, but I don't know. So I think it's hard to be okay with that.
Okay, Chelsea and Bedford, what do you say?
So I had been divorced and Bedford didn't have any children and had never been married. So our situation's a little bit different because he went from never being married, not having any children, to marrying someone that had been married. Now he has to deal with the ex-husband and has a 2-year-old. So
Can I tell him?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna tell you guys.
Let's get the tea, Bedford.
Right. Just me and Chelsea met, right? Online. We used the app, right? And I wasn't aware that the kid that was in some of the pictures actually her, right? So I was like, hey, she kind of cute. We'll take her out anyway. And then on our first date, the babysitter fell through and she was like, hey, I'm going to bring him along. And if we're going to be real.
And if he can't handle going to breakfast with him, then what are we doing?
But Bedford, when you saw, no one's having a random stunt child on Tinder. Okay. Right away. I got distracted.
I gave her the benefit of the doubt. It wasn't in all the pictures.
What?
Anyway.
I should have clarified. But so when I found out, I was like, oh, okay, we're just, this is a one date situation because I don't know that as a human being, I'm prepared for how difficult children are. Right. And that's just me being honest. I love kids. I love my kids. I got 4 of them now, but it's not easy. Mm-hmm. And I was originally thinking hey, I don't know that I can handle that kind of responsibility. That's kind of hard.
Kids on the first date with y'all.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it worked out, so I was kind of like, hey, I'll go on a date still and it's going to be a good time. I'm going to be a perfect gentleman. We're going to treat her nice. It's going to be a good time. And then, maybe I'm not texting her later. And turns out
ghost her.
So
it worked out fine.
It worked out great.
Oh my gosh.
My kid is a wonderful kid. My wife's a wonderful individual. And I was able to take that step of bravery and kind of because it was hard. It was scary. I was scared to death of it. I'm not going to lie. It was horrifying. I was like, oh man, a 2-year-old, they do everything, Everything. Just about to turn 3.
Terrible.
Chelsea, were you nervous about your kid meeting him, on the first, you're both kind of getting to know him at the same exact time? Were you nervous about it? Were you like, hey, this is a test and you got to deal with it?
I had been dating for a while. And what was happening is I was going out on dates and I was really getting to like someone. And I would start to develop feelings for someone. And then when it came time to meet my child, they were like, oh, and they knew I had a child. It wasn't a surprise. It's just that the reality of actually meeting them was too much. And so I think that at that point, I was just kind of sick of that. And I had kind of said, I'm done dating. I'm just kind of it's so hard as a single mom to find someone that is ready to, and it's not their responsibility to be ready either. So I think that at that point I was like, you know what, if they can't handle it, they can't handle it. And that's fine. This is my real life as a single mother. This is what breakfast looks like for me. That's what it is. And so there's no front, there's nothing to say like dinner with me is great, but like this later, it was like, this is what my life looks like. And
well, there's something to be said about putting it on the table up front. You know, Naja, what do you think about that, coach? You the coach here. So what you think?
So my situation is almost identical to Bedford's. My husband's on a dating app. I tell people I ordered him on the internet. And
what
when
app?
we got out on our date, it was Plenty of Fish.
Okay. Oh,
Plenty of
Fish.
I don't know if that's still around, but this was like 2014, so it was a while ago. And on the first date, we were having so much fun, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you know, I have 3 kids," and I was just like, "How many? Say what?" And in my mind, it kind of switched off, just like exactly like you said, Bedford. I was like, "Okay, so this isn't going to go beyond this evening. You know, this is a great human being, but at that time, living in Manhattan, living the Sex in the City, very single life. My career is blossoming, and I was like, what am I doing with somebody's daddy?" And it literally turned out that evening, I was like, okay, you know what, Naja, just have fun. So I started ordering all the shots, all the drinks. I was like, I can be my real self. I don't have to be like a nice, hello, I'm Naja. Oh my, like play Lil Jon, you know. Have to put on airs because this is a great human being, but everything that I had heard about being with a parent, you know, the drama, the court, the child support, the kids being problematic, I didn't have the bandwidth for that in my life, or I thought I didn't anyway. And at the end of the night, after I showed my entire, you know what, at the bar that we were at, he was taking me home and he was just like, "You're so uninhibited. Can I see you again?" I was like, "What?" Dancing on the bar. Like, what? And the rest is history because he became this guy. And I'll just say this to anybody. If the person that you're with, if you are a single person or you have kids yourself or you yourself are thinking about being with somebody, if they do have children, just make sure they are the absolute best person that you have been with. Otherwise, you got to run because blending your family is going to require so much of you, so much that you don't even think that you possess. Like, I didn't think I had the bandwidth. And then now I actually have a job, an entire career, teaching people how to just deal with the emotional part of it. Because honestly, kids are fun. You know, they're just little human beings. We got to guide them. They'll be okay. But it's the grown folks sometimes that can be part of the issue. And it's our emotions and not being able to properly calibrate our emotions. And we expect compassion from people that they themselves are going through their own personal hell. So it's just so many different things that come along with blending. So yeah, that's how I got here.
So it seems like the lesson here, and excuse my cat, this is my child. She just wants to be on the show like every time. You got to accept my cat. This is my child that comes from the blended family.
Thank you. Exactly.
It seems like the lesson that I'm taking from all of you is, you know, what you think you may not be okay with, you might actually be, and probably try to be a little bit more open-minded. And now it seems like you're all flourishing. I got to ask you, Naja, what's your sign?
So my birthday is July 22nd. So I think I'm on the cusp of Cancer Leo, but the people that know me say that I'm a Cancer.
Okay. All right. Well, okay.
But then, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm Cancer Leo. What is it? Whatever July 22nd is.
I want to know.
Yeah.
So another question to Naja, the U.S. Bureau of Census reported that over 1,300 new blended families are forming every day. What are your thoughts on that statistic?
All of them need to be my clients. I got room for all of y'all. No, so what that shows us is that people are recoupling all the time. That statistic is so alarming because that means people are getting together, creating a baby, creating some human beings, and then they're splitting up. So on top of that, we got to look at the lesson is maybe we're not that good at choosing partners. That's one thing about that. I think that we could all stand to do some work on interpersonal relationships. But the fact that there's 1,300 people recoupling every single day means there's a big opportunity area for us to learn how to do this thing right. Because if you look at the percentage, the divorce rate for second marriages, I think it goes up to like 63%. And this is in the 70s. So first failure rate marriages, I think is 48 or 43 or something like that. It goes up the more times you're married. And it's because people are having issues from their last situations.
Damn, that sucks.
That sucks.
It does.
Kind of crazy.
The second time around, you'd be like, okay, now I really know what I want, and maybe I should have done that drunk wedding in Vegas. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, or like maybe I shouldn't have made that person my co-parent, or I shouldn't have, but people are having an opportunity to think about that now and just learn different ways. There's people out here that really want to learn how to do it because they realize what they're doing now is not effective and it's hurting their children.
That's true. So Very Well Family stated that the 4 biggest problems that blended families face, let me see if y'all agree, are sibling rivalry, everyone needs attention, and the challenges of discipline and feeling like 2 separate families. Is that accurate? So sibling rivalry with the kids, and then everyone needs some attention. The challenges of discipline, like, okay, who can you spank my kid? Okay, we discipline differently. Like that's probably, especially when it's like in cultures, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like what's discipline in one culture is child abuse in another. So
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think I would add dealing with other household, dealing with the other high conflict personality. That can make things way difficult. And that's probably like one of the top ones on the list that make families not work out, is because the other parent is just like a high conflict personality, or they're not settled in their new role yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think for us, I'd agree with all 4 plus 1 points to varying degrees. I mean, so, I didn't use Christina's kids, my stepkids from birth. So, she had different discipline styles and different rules and things that.
More yelling.
I'm okay with yelling, but when the bamboo switches come out, we've had difficult former families, if you want to call it, and things like that. I wouldn't say we had sibling rivalry between my kids and Christina's, because they're different age groups and different locations.
I don't agree with that, but that's okay.
Sibling rivalry between the kids?
Yes, 100%. 100%. So I think this goes to show the differences and challenges is that, we're 2 different people, so we totally see things differently. So you add those points in, I agree with all those points. We had younger kids to David's older kids. His older kids want attention that they feel the younger kids are getting. That's sibling rivalry.
Okay.
They want attention. My kids or our new baby are getting. At the same time, we also have former houses. One of them is great now, much better, but former houses that definitely can cause conflict and strife between not only the kids, but us as a couple or our parenting. Discipline, I think that it's not too bad. I'm definitely a little more than David probably would be.
And I've always felt, a little tentative about, I definitely wouldn't spank the kids, but I've always felt a little tentative about.
If we spank the kids, is that okay?
No.
Sometimes they need it. Yeah, sometimes
it's very necessary. Sometimes.
I've always been a little tentative. I'll I have to raise my voice. The kids get scared. They do. They cry. And it's like, well.
And then I raise my voice and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Exactly. I can yell till I turn purple and the kids don't care. I wouldn't even say he yells. Like it's fake yelling.
He like walks in the room and they're like, we're good.
And then I get disciplined for raising my voice and yelling. And so I'm afraid of Christina more than the kids. And we've had to find the right balance. And as the step parents, a lot of the primary discipline for older 2 fall on Christina, because she's kind of got the reins on that side. And with the baby, I'm sure it'll probably still be the same, because as I start going back into the office, she'll be home with the baby.
And she's got him wrapped around her finger already, so he's not going to.
Girl, let that slide. I got 2 of my own.
That's it.
I don't discipline them.
Yeah.
So Christina, you're clearly the disciplinarian. You got everybody in check over there. You like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Keep us moving. Yeah, definitely.
So it's probably good cop, bad cop, Dave, right? Good cop, bad cop. And then
if she's gone, the kids are really great for me until I'm not. And then if I have to, correct them, she'll hear about it and how mean David is. and it happens all the time.
Oh yeah,
so,
he's the worst.
And I'm like Satan with a blue shirt on. Yeah, so.
Wow. Okay. Chelsea and Bedford, how about you? Who's a disciplinarian? Chelsea, you already said that the kids don't listen when you yell, so.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because we were actually, before the segment, we were talking about just different things. And I was telling him that when we first got married, or even when we were dating, I would get really defensive when he would discipline Jax. Because I was like, wait, for like a year now, I'm the only one that disciplines him. Not my mom, not my siblings, not my dad, like no one, just me. And so when he would yell at him, I would feel really defensive. I would have a really hard time. And I'd be like, you're just misunderstanding him. You don't know him the way I do. And I felt myself trying to like stand up for him because I didn't want him to be yelled at by Bedford. And it took years, honestly. After we had our first child together, and this was actually one of my fears, is that the way he saw our second child would be different than the way he saw our older child, and maybe discipline would be different. And so we actually ended up where I would discipline our second child so hard, but I was very understanding of our older child. And he felt like he was trying to protect our second child, and he would get really upset with the older child because it was very interesting just because I felt, it took us, I would say like 3 years after we got married. Our first baby's a honeymoon baby, so he was pretty old, but it took us 2 or 3 years to get to a point where we actually sat down and said, yeah, this is an issue. Like, we're not disciplining our children the same. And so I feel like actually now no one's really a disciplinarian. We try really hard to make sure that they can expect discipline and praise and understanding from both people, so that it's not like, it used to be like, I don't want mom to go out on a date with her friends and put dad to put us to bed because he's just really fast about it and he's not fun and he's kind of grouchy.
That's kind of still the case. Like, like 45 minutes longer than that.
So Bedford, how did it feel for you to feel like, your way of disciplining was not being approved? Because I'm sure that would be an issue. And, it's like, well, who are you? And you're probably looking at like, I'm here for the long run. So
I pay for him. He lives under my roof. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard.
Yeah, it was different. Like, and it was more nuanced at the beginning. And then like, when we finally sat down and was like, hey, there's something going on in our family. We got to talk through this. It was different because, quite frankly, the conversation that we had was like, hey, look, I have been told that you want me to treat this kid as if he is my own kid. And that's what I want to do, right? So when it's daddy donut day at school, you best believe I'm taking work off and I'm showing up. And when it's like time to give out Christmas presents or time to show up at soccer games and coach and do all that stuff, like I'm here, right? But like, I also need to be here and he needs to be able to listen. And that was the thing, is like, it got to the point where it was like, mom's going to get me out of trouble anyway. Right.
Yeah.
And so I was like, nah, you cannot undo, if he's doing something that is incorrect or wrong, we have to talk about it before you undo it. And if you undo it, like if it needs to be undone, like I need to be the one that undoes it so that he sees us as a full team. And so that's kind of the thing that like, it was difficult. We're not going to say that it was easy, but like we worked through it. We had to communicate quite a bit. But at first it was like, man, like this is rough because I need to have especially at 2, 3, 4, where, when you raise your voice because they're running across the street, like I can't have a kid be passive to that. Right. Mm-hmm. I can't have it be like, oh, it's just Bedford. Mom's going to be fine. But at the same time, like, I hope and the thing was, I never doubted that she trusted me. I just knew that she was trying to protect him. Right. So I was aware that like, it was a protection thing, but it made me feel like, hey,
my opinion doesn't matter. And I feel like you do trust me, but like, we need to make it clear. And so we worked through it. And like, at this point, yeah, we're all our kids, like nobody feels like if mom does something, they're going to come to dad and get it fixed or vice versa. And in fact,
so now you're a united front, like it's more of a united situation now.
What they do feel like if mom does something and they come to the dad or vice versa, like it's going to be worse. And so, we want to make sure it's like, hey, look, whatever mom said, like that is
That's
the
it.
law. All right. And if we're gonna try to sneak or play some
Even
games
if we
behind,
disagree, like if we don't agree on something, we still say like, sorry, that's what dad said, because we tried to, and then we'll talk about it later. So
Yeah.
I think that's great, because I can see how that could be a huge problem if a man doesn't feel like his opinion's being respected. And I can see how a mom would feel like, well, this is my baby that was here before you, and I want to protect this baby. But it's a whole new like situation moving forward together. So that united front, y'all against the world, even those kids sometimes.
yeah, or a lot of the time.
All the time. All the time.
Naja, I want to get your opinion on this. We have to take a quick break, and we want to keep you around because you're fantastic, okay? Want to keep you around. We have more Fox Soul, Out Loud on Fox Soul when we come back.
Diverse representation among senior leadership
in media and entertainment is 1%. 1%.
and the recruiting pipelines that feed into studios,
Production companies and corporations.
reflects who matters.
Knowledge is knowing that until you recruit in our communities,
Nothing will change. See us.
see us.
Black women have worse experiences
At work because of a lack of sponsorship and manager support.
Open your doors to us
Community means having the support to flourish,
speak,
and be heard.
listen to us.
Black women contribute to the successes of the industry, both behind the camera
and in front of the camera.
We are equal partners in creativity, collaboration,
in dollars. Pay us.
corporate and nonprofit boards serving underrepresented groups.
Rarely look like the people they represent.
Rarely look like the people they represent.
Join us.
We are Sister Circle Media.
Welcome back to Out Loud on Fox. Will you get off the counter? I'm sorry. My cats are so ghetto right now.
That's the cat. That's the cat.
Yeah, sorry about that. So listen, before we went to commercial, we had I love what we're talking about. I think it could be uncomfortable, but once again, that's what growing pains come from, those uncomfortable conversations, and that's how you get through them. Talking about blended families and, when it comes to disciplining kids and how they can throw a monkey wrench into your relationship. Naja, what were your thoughts on the whole thing we're talking about?
So statistics say that it takes the average family 5 to 7 years to blend. That means in the very beginning, this person doesn't see you as a part of their family. They don't consider you as someone that should be telling them what to do. They see you maybe as mom or dad's partner. And so because of that, you have to really ease into disciplining. And then another point was mentioned, like, hey, listen, this is my baby. It's just us. The parent has to be very comfortable with your disciplining style, and they have to know that you care about their child. Because it can, parents are going to be extremely protective. And sometimes it feels like me against you, like me and my kid against you. And we see a lot of, especially stepdads, I see a lot of mothers undermining their authority because they want to protect their kids. And that becomes very problematic in a relationship because the kid knows that now mom is taking away his authority, so I don't have to respect him.
Yep.
That's what I did.
One disciplining issue in my family. And my husband called a family meeting. He was like, hey, let me sit you guys down and we're going to say this one time. Naja is daddy's assistant. Naja is me. Whatever she tells you to do, understand that it's coming directly from me. No, you don't have to ask me. No, you don't need to talk back. I need you to do that because it's coming from me. She has full authority. So as parents, we got to give our kids, we have to give our partner the authority over our children. But it has to be a partner that you trust, because discipline can be a tough thing. Like we probably all grew up with different styles of being disciplined. Some of us are yellers, some of us are spankers, some of us are go to the corner, some of us don't do anything. And when you get with a person with a drastically different parenting style or style of discipline as you, that's going to be a problem because their children's behavior is going to reflect in that, especially with you. And it's going to be frustrating and it's going to drive you up a wall if you don't get it together.
So real, I saw everybody nodding their head in agreement. Like, I think you touched on some point that everyone felt that, like, yup, so you did that. Oh, you did that to me. Oh, I did that. I'm not saying you what, but I feel like you really just dropped some gems just now. So let's talk about, kids play a huge important role in relationships. So can the disapproval of a child dictate the success of a relationship? Because if your kid is just not getting on board with the new daddy or the new mommy, that can really drive a wedge between couples. And it's like you really love each other, but then the little plus one over here, little child, I'm sorry, I don't have any kids, but the child, I mean, how important is that, the disapproval from a child? Naja, I would like to go
I
back
think why does a child disapprove? Because kids don't really have the emotional intelligence to not eat jelly beans all day. Not calling our kids not smart, because we all know everybody's kids is a little genius. However, their ability to decipher why they do or do not like a person hasn't formed. I mean, I know a lot of adults where it hasn't formed as well. So I would not allow a child to dictate if I'm going to be with the person or not. Now, if I see that my partner is not willing, if your partner is absolutely not willing to invest in your child and get to know them, then yes, the child is going to be afraid and sheepish, and they're not going to want to connect. So, I love what Bedford said, and Mr. Rodriguez as well. Like, they had to really try to connect with these kids. They listened to mom, they checked out the temperature of how it was going, and then, they did their jobs. So I wouldn't say listen to a child just about that, because more than likely they will overcome it. A lot of kids will use a defense, well, you're putting them before me, or they're more important. Like, kids will try to act out, but we have to understand that that's just a manipulative tactic for the child to get their way. But kids are also very intuitive and smart, though. They might see something in your partner that is off kilter that you can't see yet because you're in love. So by all means, listen to your child, consider their age, consider their maturity level, but at day's end, understand that the person that you choose to bring into your household is going to be, they could be detrimental to your relationship with your child. So be careful.
What about influence from the other parent of the child? Like,
one of my favorite things to talk about.
Kind of, what I'm saying? Like, telling them, oh, who's your mama's new boyfriend? Or who's your dad? You know what I mean? Like, doing all that kind of nonsense. Like, because the kid can be a pawn in that and really disrupting your peace. I don't know if either of y'all had some situations like that, but that could be a thing, right? Like, I'm sure that happens all the time.
It's a big thing, because you got to think about it. If you're a mom and then your partner goes out, you and your partner break up, you never intended on there being another woman in the picture. You never intended on there being another person that's showing your child's father what it means to experience romantic love. You never, this person was not in mind. So parenting is a very egotistical role. It really does. In order for a lot of parents, Dr. Shafali, one of my favorite authors, wrote a book all about that. And if you look at the core of parenting, it's like, it's me, what can I do? This is my little creation. I'm so proud. I'm going to take care of them. I would die for this little being. And then you got to hand off that being to a stranger. So you're going to want to know, what is she saying to you? What is he doing? Do you call him dad? Do you call her mom? Are they, you're going to want to know, but it can get to the point where it's a little abrasive, where it's disrespectful, and you are alienating your child from forming a positive relationship with their other parent or their new step parent. And you're putting this child, we call it a loyalty bind. You're putting this child in a very unfair loyalty bind. And just by doing little small things too. Like you don't call him dad. He's not your dad. I'm going to really miss you when you're at your dad's house this weekend. I'm not going to be doing anything. Like, there's so many things that we can do to put our children in these emotional loyalty binds to where they just cannot form a connection with their other household, and they're uncomfortable, and it goes on throughout different levels within forming relationships in their life. Because you got to think about
that's really not fair, but I'm sure it's human nature.
Not fair.
People have jealousy, and people have, no one wants to see a new person with their ex. Christina and David, I see your faces.
We're not.
My job is to read people, and there's David having older children, and then here comes this hot new wife. You're black, you're new. Not everybody can accept that, and they're older, so they have, they probably have strong opinions.
Very strong opinions. Yeah, I mean, I think that between David and I think we've got both ends of the spectrum. So my ex-husband, the older two at home, their father and I started off rocky, great place now. I think that one of the things that got us to the point that things are so easily handled with the kids and we're in such agreement is that we put the kids first. We stopped all the fighting. We were like, look, at the end of the day, we want our kids to be happy. And I have an older stepson. I still consider him my son with my ex-husband. It was his son from a previous relationship. We said all three of our kids, we want them to feel loved and supported. We don't want them confused or scared or upset about what's going on with our divorce or with us dating or marrying new people. You know, we want them to feel supported and loved and heard and not at all confused. And so we stopped the fighting. I mean, it was just like that. We said, let's stop doing it. You know, we will smile and act like everything is good and talk it through. And I think that worked really well for us. Like you just said, David has older kids. I mean, his older two are very close to my age. So it was definitely okay, she's way younger than our mom. She is a different race that we did not expect you to ever be with. She's got kids. I mean, it was like bam, 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 bam.
Right. So,
a lot of issues, I guess.
Right.
So Dave, it had to be hard for you. You probably felt like you were in the middle of trying to, okay, I got to keep the kids happy. I got to keep the wife happy.
Well, and it's tough because, I chose Christina and she's my first priority. And even if the kids were in the house, Christina is still the first priority. So I will do all I can to love and support my wife. And the kids, even my older kids knew that, from my previous relationship, that, this relationship comes first. So it's really important. They all know I love them, but Christina and the kids that are here, they get my time because they're here and they live with us. So naturally, they're going to have, my attention on a daily basis. They're going to be with me regularly. They're going to go on vacation with me because they're here. And it's tough to satisfy the needs of the older kids, especially with external influences that they're hearing from other people. And
we won't name names.
I may name lists. And,
you don't have to.
Blink twice, David. We know. We get it.
Yeah. So it's tough. Even in the past couple of weeks, I've talked with my older daughters and with my son, and he's kind of with us a couple times. We're getting there with him, but the daughters, it's difficult because I think they want to have a separate relationship with just Dad, and I want them to understand that my family includes Christina and the kids, and it's really hard for me to want to separate because my family is all of them, not just older and younger.
And not everyone's okay with that. I mean, like my ex-husband and I we do all of the birthday parties together. I mean, literally him, his girlfriend's kid, us with the kids, my former mother-in-law, like we literally all do everything together and it's fine. There's no drama. Everyone is happy.
It took a little while to get there. But there.
Again, we said that's what's best for the kids and we want to focus on the kids. We want to make sure the kids are good. So we do it all together.
Right.
I don't know if we would ever get to that place on the other side. Just there are so many outside influences.
Well, I'm hoping that maybe some of the bigger things that are happening in our worlds right now can make people start seeing things in a different way, where it's bigger than us and our things that hurt our egos. Because that's got to be a horrible position for both of you. Like Christina, you're the new wife and you're here now. And I did feel when he looked at you and he said, I chose Christina. And that's beautiful. Like, that's to me, I'm not the therapist. Don't ask me for relationship advice. But I'm saying, I think that's a great start, and knowing like your feelings are important. And I hope you felt that, because I felt that when he looked at you and said that. But he has that position where he's got to keep everybody happy, and that's got to be stressful.
And that's exhausting. And so I have to choose where my time gets to go, and it's, like I said, this is where my time goes. This is who gets my my first and best goes Christina.
Love it. Okay. Well, let's get to y'all now. You guys are nodding your heads a lot during our segment as well. Y'all felt that too. What are your thoughts?
We have a decent relationship with my ex-husband. I feel like everybody's pretty amicable. It wasn't always that way. And so our situation's a little different, and maybe it's not appropriate, but I'm just going to say it. So my ex-husband had an affair, and it was long-term, and they're married now. And so it took us a second to get to a point where I was like, all right, fine. You can be with my kid. You can see him, because I didn't trust them, either of them. And so we started off rocky, but I think eventually we got to a point where it was like, you know what? He wants to see us both. And there are a lot of kids out there that don't have the privilege of knowing. I mean, I can't imagine having a child that is like, why doesn't my dad want to see me? Why doesn't my mom want to have anything to do with me? And so I'm going to take this, you know, I'm going to take having a good relationship with my ex-husband and being able to, we actually even have a good relationship with his new in-laws, and our kids call them grandma, and she buys them Christmas presents. Like, because that is it's good for our child, and that's what's important for us. And so, yes, it's rocky, and yes, we get a little bit annoyed, and, but our son feels safe there. And he is safe there, and he loves being there, and he knows that they love him. And so we've been very blessed in that way.
And that being said, like, it doesn't, like, we have definitely had some issues, and like, I wouldn't say that we're best friends and that we're all having birthdays together. Or, you know, like,
so good on you.
You know, and maybe we'll eventually get to that point. But one thing that, like, is very apparent is, you know, they live completely different lifestyles than we do, right?
Very, very different.
Different moral structures and things like that. Things that are perfectly okay for them is completely not okay.
What do you mean? Are they some freaks? Are they swinging?
Well, I think the easiest way.
He had an affair, so.
But well, like, a perfect example is our 4-year-old, you know, was over at Dad's house, and again, they care for him, they love him, but he's over there on the weekend, and he got to see Krampus, which is like,
and he's watched.
I saw that movie.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It mortifies me. I saw the picture and was like, like, what is that? You know?
So they have this different idea of maybe what is acceptable or what, you know, and then they come home and he's having nightmares at my house, and I'm like, what?
Why would you even start that? Right.
Why?
So, you know,
so we've had to have the conversations, but again, nothing comes from arguing.
Yeah.
You
so,
know?
You know, and that was the thing is we realized, like, hey, they know that we want Jackson to be 100% healthy and safe. And we know that they too want Jackson to be 100% healthy and safe. Now that picture looks a little bit different in both homes. Like, it's not the same. And it's tough to deal with. You know, we control what goes on with our 3 other kids 100%, right? But we share this little bit of Jackson that we don't have there's an area where we don't control anything really. And so we try to keep the relationship as best as we can. You know, we're definitely not hanging out, but we do communicate, and they are willing to get feedback from us. We are willing to accept feedback from them, and we're working at it, right? And so in that sense, you know, it's difficult. It's not, even when we have an amicable relationship, I'd say, you know, we're better than most. It still has some situations tied to it where it's like, yeah, this is hard to have an adult conversation with people that are passionate about the same thing in a completely different way, if that makes sense.
You know what? And isn't that the country right now in the world? You know what I mean? Like, we both, at the end of the day, most people want the same things, right? We want to be loved, we want happiness, we want to be able to pay our bills, we want to go on vacation, we want our cat to not keep getting the shot. We all want the same things, but it's how we see things. So I appreciate y'all sharing that with us. I feel a lot of people are relating to what y'all have to say. We have a game you want to finish off with. Naja, is your man around? We can get him in this game.
He is upstairs. He's up, like, he's way upstairs, way on the other side of the house.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna play a game where I get to we're gonna play a fun couples game of who's most likely to. Who's most likely to? I'll throw out a question, and you point to the person who the answer applies to. Naja, if it applies to your husband, you can just point upstairs.
All right, I'll jump in where I can. All good.
Okay, ready? Who's most likely to buy the other person a gift they hate?
It's me.
No.
That's a tough one. You think me?
Yes.
Definitely not that great.
I done it like 7 times.
Like every Christmas. Okay, go ahead. Just kidding.
Who's most likely to use a hall pass to sleep with a celebrity of their choosing? Like, if you said, you know what, you get a hall pass if you ever meet Halle Berry, you get a one chance. Who would be most likely to
See, I'd say
Neither
her,
one
but,
of us.
but there, it's the same list. She's got a lot of girls on hers.
Wipe on blast.
Yeah, hey,
Okay,
you know,
Christine.
I'm okay with that.
Oh, wow, so he's watching upstairs and he just heard that question. Oh my God. Okay, so here's
we're gonna ask him.
Question.
Hey, husband, who's most likely? Okay, we're gonna start from here. Okay, who's most likely to leave dishes in the sink for days?
Like, I came home from vacation. Okay.
Duh.
Who's most likely to keep their mouth shut when they're upset?
Yeah.
Who's most likely to set up a romantic date? Who's most likely to snore in their sleep? And last one, I hope this don't cause any fights tonight. Who's most likely to go through their partner's phone?
I guess you.
You guys have been so much fun. This has been it exceeded my expectations. Not to say I had low expectations, but I just love how open y'all were about the conversation. No, like y'all went deeper than need be, and I love it. And you were very honest and real, and that's what real life is and what real love is. Real love isn't Cinderella. I always say Cinderella is bullshit. It got me all messed up thinking it's gonna be once that said I do, it's happily ever after. It's not. It's working at it, right? It's having exes, and I don't like his ex, and they got my kid watching crazy movies, and the old kids don't like me, but the new kids, all this stuff. It's all real. It's real life. So I really appreciate y'all sharing this with us. You're gonna help somebody tonight. I promise y'all. Okay, I want to thank Chelsea and Bedford Dort, Chrissy and David Rodriguez, and the founder of Black and Blended, Naja Hall, and her hubby. Hubby, what's your name, hubby?
Tony. I'm Tony.
Hey, Tony. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you to everybody out there watching us on the Fox Soul TV mobile app. Please tell a friend because we are blowing up. Okay. Stay tuned because we got the ladies of Chatter up next. You don't want to miss their show. See y'all next time. Thanks again, you guys. Y'all were great.
Bye.